The film series that won't die. Nearly 30 movies, one house, actually several houses, and cursed artifacts.
The Amityville Horror Podcast.
Hello, and welcome back to the Amityville Podcast.
Hi, I'm Tom, and this is
Pat. And we're about to embark on a whole new leg of our journey.
the in-between leg. The This Could Have Legs. The Amityville Remake, 2005. Platinum Dunes figured that, if we word this story right, we don't have to give the Lutz family anything.
Yeah, which opens up a whole door of, wait, we don't have to pay the Lutzes? We can just use the name Amityville? Which then cracks open the next, 15 of these movies?
God. Yeah, that's 15.
At least.
Jesus. But this is this is going to be, as near as we can tell, the last one of any sort of quality.
Or at least of any significant budget.
A budget. And or recognizable actors.
Yeah. After this, it's basically open season on the Amityville name, the Amityville premise, and or whatever else you want to throw at it. We're going in pretty blind after this one.
Yeah, after this one. I have seen this movie in the theater. I actually own it on DVD. I found my old movie ticket stub when I was looking for my Transformer movie stuff. It's like, of course I couldn't find that, but it's like, oh look, here's the Amityville horror. I remember liking it, except for one thing that we'll talk about later.
Gotcha. I have not seen this version of it. I missed it when it was in the theater. I had not committed to Amityville Motion at this point.
Amityville Motion.
So
sometimes I doubt your commitment to Amityville Motion.
But yeah, this is Ryan Reynolds, pre-Deadpool, but post Two Guys, a Girl, and a Pizza Place.
Yes. This actually, I think this came out the same year as Waiting. So, this is definitely Van Wilder, but this is definitely, I think, the same year as Waiting. Definitely pre-Smokin' Aces. And this was, for all of you young people, there was a time where Ryan Reynolds played around with the idea of being a not ironic actor. Yeah, he was pretty good at it, too.
Yeah, he was trying to be, serious actor, trying to be leading man. And
you're Tom Hanks of mold, can do anything type of guy.
But it turns out, much like the rare treat where we get to see Tom Hanks do comedy again, Ryan Reynolds is just good at being funny.
He really is.
Again, Two Guys, Girl, and a Pizza Place, once they sort of took the network notes away and just said, just make a funny show and fill your series order, it became really funny.
That is still a gap in my TV sitcoms that I need to check out. I've heard nothing but good things.
Yeah, the first season or two are rough while it's network tooling. But by the end, you have basically Ryan Reynolds and Nate Fillion openly riffing with each other and just cutting it loose. And
Fillion wasn't one of the two guys, though.
No, he was brought in later in the series as the boyfriend of the girl. As a way to make sure that nobody ships the leads. So, yeah.
Fair. This was back before you could ship the two guys.
Right. Which they might have gone for.
Who was the other guy on that?
I do not remember, unfortunately.
Fair. So we can't just do horror movie remakes because, one, there are too many, and two, there are too many that are so much better than this movie. But since this is a Platinum Dunes remake,
that is a specific genre of horror remake.
What is your favorite Platinum Dunes remake?
Well,
there have been four that I can, maybe five.
Well, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, I definitely thought is not.
No, it's weak.
Yeah,
and for God's sake, if you're gonna put Jessica Biel in a white tank top, and you don't want to show... If Jessica doesn't want to show him, that's perfectly fine. But you can't have her run through the rain. That's unfair.
You can't make your ad campaign implying...
Yeah.
Because there were a lot of guys that went to that movie, Horn Dog and Hell, and they wrote reviews that basically amounted to, I didn't get to see her naked, so I hated this movie.
That wasn't the reason. I don't hate that movie. It is obviously not as good as the original. It was very frustrating that, like, in addition to her running in the rain, they also have her run through the meat processing plant, and they run the sprinklers in there. And at that point, I was like, well, you're just fucking with us.
Yeah.
And I don't appreciate
She's somehow wearing Lycra. But, like again,
the most opaque bra ever. I'm sorry.
Yeah. But no, it was just, I remember reading so many reviews that just came off as skeezy and petulant.
That is not my point. I am being petulant, but that's not my issue with that.
The movie's issues are, it's not as weird and funny as the second one, which I actually prefer.
Oh my god, the second one is so good.
And it's not as grim and gritty and, like, home footagey as the first one.
Yeah.
It didn't really have any of the things that make the series unique when it works.
Yeah.
Which is what most of the sequels got wrong.
Yes. Well, any of the ones that didn't have Toby Hooper working.
Basically, yeah.
But, like, as a generic, this is a Texas Chainsaw Massacre, a watered-down Texas Chainsaw Massacre, no pun intended. It's not bad. Andrew Briniarski, always a delight. He played Leatherface. You would know him from the Lobos Paramilitary Christmas short film.
Oh, wow.
As Max Schreck's son in Batman Returns, aka one of the few people with balls enough to do a Christopher Walken impression to Christopher Walken.
Yeah, basically him and Jay Moore are the only two I can think of.
Exactly. And, for our money, he will never be better than Butterfinger in Hudson Hawk. Read your book, Butterfinger. Not in a house, not with a mouse. To yourself, Butterfinger.
Kit Kat had the best lines.
Well, Kit Kat had the best lines.
Nightmare on Elm Street was the platinum one.
Kit Kat had the best lines. I got it mixed up with Snickers. Oh, sorry. Kit Kat is the one that doesn't talk.
Yep. David Caruso with his most convincing line deliveries.
Yeah. But I would give the Texas Chainsaw Massacre a solid. It's okay.
It's fine. Yeah. It wasn't embarrassing.
No.
It was
good cast.
Yeah, good cast. There were, it was well shot, but again, that was taking away from what worked about the originals is that they were intentionally not polished.
It felt like a documentary, which made it so much worse.
Right.
Yeah.
It missed the point. Also, for me missing the point, the Friday the 13th remake they did.
Go ahead.
We have disagreements on it, but my issue with this compared to not Platinum Dunes, but the Halloween remake, is that Michael Myers in Rob Zombie's Halloween acts like Jason. He is a force of nature cutting through everyone, whereas Jason in the Platinum Dunes Friday the 13th is the cold and calculated, picks up an item and just kills out of curiosity and quiet introspection. They got each other's villains.
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
Yeah, they Freaky Friday'd themselves in the franchises.
A little bit.
And for me, it didn't work. It's like, why didn't you guys make each other's movies? Because that's clearly what you wanted to do.
Well, I don't disagree. I do think Jason does do a lot of just, running around and killing people. It's a I would argue it's a slightly different flavor of Jason.
It is.
But it is a flavor of Jason, and once I realized that this is no more of a remake than any other Friday the 13th sequel, where it's like, okay, it's a different writer, different director, different person playing Jason, and this is just the way that they did it. And so that's that. And so I ended up started to liking it a lot more.
Fair enough. And I do have to give it another try. It's just the scene that really stuck out to me is when he's in the tool shed and Jason is surrounded by all of these weapons of death or gardening, and he picks up a screwdriver. It's death for the garden. He kills somebody with a screwdriver amongst all of these Jason-rific tools.
They were making a joke. They were trying to put some intellectual humor into the Friday the 13th, Patrick.
Yeah, well,
so sorry it went over your head. No, it's dumb.
Yeah.
Jason, there's nothing. The words Jason and subtle should never go together.
Not even remotely.
Yeah. But then there's the absolute worst. The absolute worst movie that these Platinum Dunes made. That Nightmare on Elm Street is unforgivable.
It's
just, I tried watching it again, and it's like, this is just terrible. It's just terrible.
Yeah. It's
decent casting for Freddy aside.
Right. I mean, Jackie Earle Haley is always,
not a bad
good
idea.
in my book.
It was funny. I was listening to the We Hate Movies podcast episode for the original Nightmare on Elm Street. They threw around a few fun ideas for like who could be Freddy now, and like. One of them was Bill Hader would be a very interesting choice if he could get into that headspace. But the funnier, more interesting one for me was they threw out, why not see if Johnny Depp wants to do it? Because he was
in the first one and the sixth one.
You get the stunt casting, and also Johnny Depp has never stopped being a good actor.
Yeah.
Like, this is not... Johnny Depp is a slightly different situation from, say, your Nick Cage, where Nick Cage, it depends on which Nick Cage is showing up for your movie.
Yeah.
Having seen Pig last weekend, I can tell you, real badass actor Nick Cage still lives.
Cool.
But you never know. Yeah. Johnny Depp is always good, even if the movie around him is remarkable.
Yeah, he has made some poor choices in what he takes on, but he never phones it in.
No, he does not. He just he needs to take a break from Tim Burton, and Tim Burton needs to take a break from movies.
Yeah.
A break. I want them back.
Recharge the batteries.
Recharge the batteries.
Like, I thought Big Eyes was a good sign in the right direction of he'd like to make movies again instead of CGI fests.
I would love that too.
Yeah.
But man, there should never be a part in any version of Nightmare on Elm Street where you genuinely feel sympathy for Freddy Krueger.
Yeah.
And that was the thrust of that movie. Mm-hmm. It's insanity.
It's the wrong way to go on every level.
Yeah, it's like if you don't understand that, what makes Freddy Krueger one of the worst as in one of the meanest, most terrible characters in any horror movie, is that after spending an entire life of raping and murdering small children, when he got his completely deserved comeuppance, he went to the universe and said, "No, I have been wronged. I need to come back and get revenge." He's the most terrible person that's ever existed.
Yeah, there's no redemption, no sympathy for him, no. Yeah, he is evil. He is all you're supposed to fear.
Yes.
Yeah. So to wrap up the Platinum Dunes, I'm going to say my personal favorite would probably be, if it wasn't them, sorry.
And we will come back at the end of the movie to see how this one.
Well, yeah, put this in the running, but The Hills Have Eyes.
I still haven't seen that.
I knew there was
that. I knew there was a fifth one. I knew there was.
Yeah,
okay.
They did that.
I've heard very good things about it.
It is a solid remake that is often debated as to whether it's better than the original or not. I personally find the original more effective, but
it comes out of nowhere.
Yeah. But both of them are very good movies. It follows the original enough. It branches when it needs to, but it's a solidly creepy, unsettling movie. And it's Alexander Aja, who has gone on to do plenty of other good stuff.
Hey, I'm in the camp that still unabashedly loves high tension.
Yeah. The logic falls apart.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah. It's still a hell of a ride.
I never argue that the movie makes sense. Yeah. I argue that it's awesome.
And he did Crawl, right?
Yes. Yeah, he did Crawl. That was a good time. Did he do one of the Piranha movies?
He did the first one. He did the he did that was a good Piranha time. 3D. That was a blast.
That was
absolute blast.
Yeah. Yeah. So those are the Platinum Dunes remakes that we can remember off the tops of our heads.
And we're about to go into one more right now.
Yeah. See you after the movie. And we're back from the remake. Patrick, I have seen this before. I have my thoughts. What did you think of the movie as a first timer?
I liked it better than the original.
Kinda, yeah.
Much more effective overall. A lot of the jump scares actually worked. I'm not nuts about jump scares normally, but
they work.
But they did work more often than not.
The kid, the dead Native American in the bathroom, especially. That's a really good. Like, you think the kid's out of danger, and then, oh my god.
Yep.
Yeah.
And quite simply, the acting. The acting is the best we've seen of any of these movies so far. And
everybody's good in this movie.
Well, you have Ryan Reynolds, who we all now know is a leading man.
Yes. And he was very charming, and like you see him really. You there's such a good difference between good George and bad George in like possessed George in this movie. Yeah. That I don't know that the previous actors or whoever was in the role of the possessed person was really getting as well.
Right, like when we had Burt Young, he was not likable early on.
No,
he was already rough. But I mean, Ryan Reynolds. Maybe it's the Canadian side. Maybe it's just whatever. But he when he's being the charming stepfather and husband, he is just really charming. You want to root for this family. Like, they seem like
they could work.
Great people.
Yeah, like him and Melissa George have a lot of good chemistry. Melissa George is great in this one.
And the right intensity, you never call bullshit on her actions, because even if it's in the script that she has to do XYZ that doesn't make sense, she finds a way to sell.
Yeah.
That's where her mind is at.
Mm-hmm. And none of the kids are annoying, which is impressive.
And one of the kids I didn't realize until we saw her the first time, Chloe Grace Moretz, who I had first seen in Let Me In.
Really? You hadn't seen Kick-Ass?
Was that before Let Me In?
Yeah.
Oh, then okay. Then I had seen Kick-Ass, then Let Me In. My bad. But, I mean, we knew that, from an early age, she was incredibly talented.
Yeah, and this is her feature film debut.
Yeah, she is tiny, and there are definitely scenes where you're like, shit, girl, you're holding your own.
Yeah.
So, just overall, and as the priest, Philip Baker Hall, who is always a delight in every movie, even if his character is not necessarily a good guy, although in this one he is.
You never get to see him be terrified in movies that often, and so that was kind of a nice change of pace.
Yeah, he's usually the one that's calm, cool, and in control.
Mr. Joe Friday.
Yeah, even in Hard 8, where he's struggling to be in control, you have a sense. It's a solid movie. I mean, it's Paul Thomas Anderson's first movie, but it's was he flexing as much as he was on Boogie Nights? No, because it was his first movie. He didn't have the money, but he had a confidence and a strength. Mm-hmm. Like, it's a great movie. Like, there's no slight saying it's his first movie.
Yeah. Everybody starts somewhere.
Yeah, and Philip Baker Hall is the lead in that, and it's a lot of following him, having moments of weakness. He has a lot more to do with that than this, but in the scenes he's got, completely invested and engaging. It's not just, well, you did fine as the priest. Like, for his limited scenes, he more than carried his weight for what he needed.
Yeah. And we're, just forewarning, we're not going to go over this one plot point for plot point because it really is a fairly faithful remake of the original film with differences that we'll get to as we go along. Much like one of them being, it's an interesting to see the differences in terms of like how people are like in movies set in the 70s versus now, whereas the original movie, the Lutzes get the priest out to bless the house when they move in before anything has gone wrong. There's just like, hey, we're starting anew, so we're religious, we're having the house blessed. In this one, we don't see the priest until about 50 minutes in.
Yeah.
And that's
the halfway mark. And I mean, in the 70s, it was a lot more common that people were just openly, outwardly faithful, went to church more consistently, and as we've noted, I know I've seen it, like revival screenings, outdated concepts. in a movie that came out at the time that it was the norm, still gets laughed at by, a lot of people who don't understand what life was like then. So, you tone down the religious nature of the family just because it won't play now. And I don't know where the Lutzes actually stood on any of that in the first place.
No, but it was an interesting thing. Like, they do, they talk about the kids saying their prayers before bed and everything, but, any religiosity is definitely played down in this one.
Even to the point where in the original it is a demonic possession, whereas in this one they say that it was a man who killed a lot of Native Americans on that soil and buried them in the lake, and then killed himself and vowed to haunt the place. So it's a ghost, but it's not demonic. So again, it's not specifically religious. They have a priest, but they basically have removed all real religion from the scenario.
Yeah, in the original movie, there was a lot more of like a Christian good versus evil vibe to it, a la like The Omen or The Exorcist sort of thing.
Which it was riding the coattails of.
Oh, definitely. And this one, it's definitely, the house is haunted by a thing. It's a lot more poltergeist than it is The Exorcist this time around.
Yeah, and it's family cracking up.
Very solid performances. Like, Ryan Reynolds does such a good job of really just upping the jerk factor in every scene that it drives me nuts. The thing that kills me about this movie, and it still kills me now, is that as George gets progressively worse, they give him these contact lenses to make his eyes look bloodshot. And it's just such a... It is treating the audience like like we're so stupid that we wouldn't understand that, there's something more going on with George at that point. So here's a visual signifier of it. And
not trusting the performance that they're seeing every day on set that he's putting out there. It's not like they saw him one day and let's have some contacts just in case people don't get what's going on here.
Yeah.
Like, Ryan Reynolds is so legitimately threatening. We know the story. I've seen, after, this is our 9th one in on this. But, I'm familiar with how things are supposed to play out, and he was still a viable threat. Like, when he turns bad, it's unnerving, and I worried for the family, knowing where it was going.
It didn't hurt that they kept showing him shirtless, which served two purposes. One, turning me on. Two, wow, if this guy goes evil, he's really going to be able to mess them up.
Oh, yeah.
This is like Blade Trinity level jacked.
Yeah, if they had tried to escape in the boat from the boathouse from him rather than tie him up and get him away.
He would have just swum.
He would have been able to swim after them perfectly fine. He probably...
He's bouncing out of the water like a porpoise.
Exactly.
Just launching himself.
Would have been like the stories from Terminator 2 of Robert Patrick being able to catch the motorcycle so they had to drive it faster.
Is that true?
Apparently so. When he was in the one chase scene, he was able to run fast enough that he was catching up with the motorcycle, and they had to retime it and speed up the motorcycle.
Robert Patrick never gets enough credit for that movie.
He really doesn't.
It's probably because he's not a great actor. But he's really good as the T-1000.
He's great as the T-1000.
He's good in a lot of other things. Yeah,
I enjoyed the hell out of his run as Doggett on X-Files. I know, controversial opinion, but I thought his character was pretty solid in those seasons.
I abstained because I had checked out by then.
Fair enough. Some of the episodes are hit and miss. The conspiracy goes off the rails, but Monster of the Week stuff and Monster of the Week stuff and Agent Doggett are solid things about those two seasons. But
yeah, they have these stupid contacts, and it drove me nuts when I first saw it. It drives me nuts now, and I think it drags the whole movie down a little bit.
It's a quibble, but it's something that stands out.
If it weren't after the 40-minute mark, it is in every shot. You'll see him. He'll leave the house, they'll go somewhere else, and his eyes will be clear and fine, and he'll go wow, I feel so normal and everything.
Yeah, Visine gets the demon out.
Exactly, and then he comes back, and then it's click, they're in. I've never I've done very low rent research on the movie, and I've never seen an explanation for it or anybody's opinion on them. So I'm dying to know.
Just might have been a choice from the makeup department.
Yeah. It was wrong.
Yeah. There was K and B worked on the effects, and there are places where they get to do their thing. There's all the ghost Native Americans. Yeah, including a scene not in the original where George is going down in the basement and knocks down a wall and discovers the ancient torture chambers of Ketchum, the guy who had done all these sacrifices. Nobody had ever found that in the house before, apparently.
Yeah, they never and in the movies that we watched, like the first 3 movies that are actually set in the same house, nobody they never come up with an explanation for the evil pit that they always tend to find.
But and the pit shifts. Like one time it's a well, one time it's the doggy door, one time it's knocked down the wall and finds stuff. In this one, it is a giant hall of torture chambers.
A seemingly never-ending and expanding array of cells.
Yeah, like a very archaic version of the cubes from Cabin in the Woods.
Yes.
Just filled with these, torture tableaus.
Ugh.
And
it's gruesome.
Yeah.
And then in the hallucination, Ryan Reynolds visits the evil torturer guy Ketchum, who slashes his own throat and bukkakis all over Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah,
for 2 minutes.
Yeah,
it's something. You really get the feeling that they want to cash in on the Amityville name. So they remake the movie, but they were really, really hoping they could turn a franchise out of this Ketchum guy and the little ghost girl, Jody.
Yeah.
Which, the little ghost girl, she does have one of the scariest parts in the movie. Like, when she's torturing the babysitter, played by Rachel Nichols, that part is really great because nobody's expecting, why don't I take your finger and shove it into the bullet hole in my head?
Yeah.
Which
that was
genuinely unnerving.
Uh-huh.
But she never gets really played up as anything else after that. Other than at the very end of the movie is very tacked on and annoying.
Mm-hmm. They get away from the house, they're looking back, we get the title card and they never even return for their belongings. And then we cut
a nice
back.
Touch.
It is. But then, after that goodwill, they cut back into the house where the little girl Jody is standing there just looking out towards the front door, not the back door, which is the way they went.
Yeah.
And then
looking at the audience.
Then they do the
scary
overused
face.
Shaky face.
Yep.
Shaky face with a bunch of quick morphs on it, also overused. And then arms come from the ground and pull her down and leave her teddy bear. So it's a series of the worst trope scares of that specific era.
Yeah. Also, while this is happening, the house is resetting itself, presumably for the next people that will move in.
Yeah. It's the tacked-on ending is
so
just
annoying.
A string of the worst habits.
I would love to see the realtor's face, though, when she finds out that the Lutz is left. The realtor that George and Kathy meet up with is I don't know the actress's name, but she's pretty funny because she does a good job of being low-key. I don't want to be in this house any longer than I absolutely have to be because this house is haunted.
But between her attitude and the way she dressed, she reminded me eerily of the realtor from Saturday the 14th, to the point where I wonder if somebody involved in it did that as an open nod.
Maybe.
And if you haven't seen Saturday the 14th,
I'm
it's
sorry.
a fixer-upper.
I know. I need to see it. But anyway.
Yeah. So, she seemed elated and confused when they wanted to buy the house until they did ask about what happened here. She reluctantly tells the story, and they still go for it. And
it is not unlike the Money Pit.
I did not expect to close this.
No. It's like the beginning of the Money Pit when the old lady sells the house, and she's like, "Oh my God!" Run!
And I will say that the Lutzes made it not just 2 weeks, but two weeks.
Yeah, 28 days.
Yeah. How long is this going to take to demonize? 2 weeks.
2 weeks. Yeah. They're animals. We actually get Ronnie DeFeo. We get, like, the annoying prologue. We actually do get Ronnie DeFeo named.
Yeah, which had not been done in a lot of them. We weren't sure if it was like lawsuit things or like because he didn't get clearance.
He had passed away by that point.
Gotcha. So yeah.
Yeah. So what's the hurt?
Yeah, but yeah, the opening sequence that gives us all the backstory is told in a combination of like flashy flashbacks and stylized imagery that might be sort of dream sequency, mixed with newspaper clippings, mixed with news footage, mixed with all of the possible options.
Yeah.
It is a hardcore jumble of styles, giving you all the little bits. It's excessively stylish, but luckily,
it's just really annoying.
Yeah, luckily it's so over the top that when the movie does push into sometimes a little too stylish for a moment, you're fine with it because they really push it hard so that like by rolling it back it's I did notice in the kids' rooms technically the Alice Cooper Welcome to My Nightmare gear that the kid Billy has would have been period appropriate. That album had come out earlier that year.
Nice.
But I question whether he would have been allowed to have all of that.
You know, normally yes, but factor in dead dad.
Oh, okay.
Let's keep the kid happy.
Yeah. Okay. Fine.
Happy.
You want the thing. You want the thing. He gets his.
It's a stupid music album. Who cares?
Yeah. And I could understand that a kid his age would be into Kiss just as hard as Alice Cooper at the same time.
Sure.
Yeah. The other thing was that one of the kids had a light bright. And the light bright had the clown image that's on the box when you buy a light bright, at least at the time.
Other ideas. You had no other ideas.
They sell so many other kits. It is one of the dullest ones. Who does the picture on the box and leaves that as the way you just have your light bright on the nightstand?
I noticed that too. It was like the minute I saw it was the clown, I was like, really?
Really? You bought this creative light up art kit and you just did what's on the box and we're done.
Yeah.
Wow. You never used the sharpener on your crayons, did you?
No.
Anywho.
Easy. But
so also the youngest daughter Chelsea, Chloe Grace Moretz, had an Etch-a-Sketch with which she drew the one demon.
Yeah, the Ketchum guy.
The Ketchum guy. And again, not just a talented actress, but that was, for an Etch-a-Sketch, a decent drawing.
Do we think she did it?
You know, I don't know.
Oh, Patrick.
I don't know. She's a prodigy. I'm not going to discount anything.
Fair enough. You know, it's weird, because it's like, the movie is, like, I like the movie, but it really isn't scary at all.
It's unnerving. It is tense.
It is tense, and it's unnerving in bits, but, like, they don't really... This is not like a Hitchcockian sort of exercise in keeping the audience on the edge of their seat sort of thing. Like, moments happen seemingly out of nowhere, like the tense moments, and then they fade away just as quickly.
And a lot of, again, jump scares, but that's been a huge part of this series anyway.
Those are table stakes.
Yeah, but, and Platinum Dunes tends to lean on the jump scares.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah,
but really good acting. Like I think, like, definitely, I'm pretty sure, like, my favorite scene is, like, after, like, it's towards the end, like, say, like, the end of the second act, beginning of the third act, where Kathy is aware that, like, there are things happening in this house, and it's affecting all of them. And she's in the kitchen with George, just pleading with him to just leave. And, like, she is desperate, but trying not to, you know, go nuts because she knows that's not the right play. And Ryan Reynolds is serving 5 different shades of crazy, depending on the dialogue. And it's really just, that was like the tensest moment of the film, because like this could just be a failing marriage in a rough situation that had nothing else going on with it.
Yeah, he was playing the kind of crazy where you're in an argument and you understand there is no right answer, there is no right question. Everything I say will be a problem, which is the one that sets off the least dynamite in the room.
Yeah.
And
the dynamite still gets lit. Mm-hmm. And then we get, like, probably the biggest change is that whereas in the original one, it keeps building up to George going nuts and going crazy on everybody, but it never actually happens. Like, they're escaping just as quickly as everything has gone to hell. Yeah. Whereas this time, because we are post-slasher and everything, like, George is full-on stalking the family with a shotgun, which is very terrifying.
It is. Again, it is legitimately tense, and a lot of it, comes from... It's not just hovering threat. Like, he's shooting through the door, he's shooting through the ceiling, and Ryan Reynolds is doing it in a way that just feels casual.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm going to get you.
Yeah.
There's, like, you keep running. Fine. I'm going to kill you.
He's not calling out some tagline as he pumps the shotgun right in front of his face and gives a snarl. He's just walking up the steps, and one hand, like, kind of just absently to the side, cocks the shotgun like, oh, I gotta take the garbage out. Oh, I gotta kill the family. Like,
he's not in his right mind, like, at all.
And you can tell, like, he's not thinking about anything else except family's gotta die. Let's get this. They are demons.
And he made them all coffins.
Yeah.
that was
a good reveal.
That was a nice touch. In the basement, they find that not only has he built them all size-appropriate coffins, he has marked their names on them.
Uh-huh.
And put crosses.
Yeah, which shows how often the family went down the basement.
No shit. Yeah. Well, he did tell them to stay out.
This is true.
That was his office.
Yeah.
The Lutz Contracting.
Mm-hmm.
And then they leave in the boat.
Yeah. Just head
It's
out.
weird. It's just like, I like the movie, but at the end of the day, it's kind of a nothing burger.
Yeah. It was a very effectively produced telling of... But at the core is kind of a thin story.
Yeah, it doesn't really pass the who cares test that much. Even though it's just like good premise, good cast, well executed, but...
Yeah, everybody did everything they could with it. Again, I feel like sometimes there were some over-the-top production choices.
Yeah.
And, with the contacts, with the opening, with the close or shot. Yeah.
There was a lot of, like, when Ryan Reynolds is finally getting completely possessed when he goes into the secret room in the basement. Yeah. It just felt so out of place where they're just like, okay, we haven't been allowed to do the gore in this movie. Let's do all of the gore in this 5-minute sequence.
Yeah, let's have a power montage of a bunch of effects we've paid for.
Yeah, that, like, we can't put in the movie for reasons. Like, it felt a lot like the truncated Hell Visions in Event Horizon. Like, we have so much more footage of this, but this is what we're allowed to get away with to get whatever rating. Which is weird, because this was rated R.
Yeah.
So,
and it didn't push hard R.
No, there wasn't a lot of swearing.
No.
There may not have been any swearing.
Yeah, not to my knowledge.
I don't think there was an actual F-bomb in the whole movie.
Yeah, I don't even think...
And if there was, then it's probably just the one that they're allowed to get away with.
I don't even think anyone said shit.
No.
Yeah, so I think it was...
It's all just violence and gore, and they barely even had violence and gore.
Yeah.
Spooky situation.
Right. It was an intensity R, but...
Yeah, it's a bummer.
Yeah, alright.
I would still, my resale value is still pretty high just for the cast and the performance.
Absolutely. Performances alone, high resale value. Yeah. I would definitely watch this again.
Yeah, yeah.
I would like to watch this back-to-back with 2, which we keep coming back to.
I mean...
Just to watch, like, the craziness, the crazy train.
2 is just good. Like, I have shown other people 2, and they have been equally horrified and fascinated by it, because... 2 is really just a mess. 2 is an inspired, amazing mess.
Yeah. But, like, this one does some of the little touch fun things. Like when the priest is sprinkling holy water around the house and it's actually sizzling on the floor.
Yeah.
Like a hot plate.
Then we got our flies back. I'm not sure. The last one was very bug heavy. Never mind.
Yeah. Oof. But we had like a little, like the fly scene was in there almost like checking off a box.
A lot of this felt like checking off boxes.
Yeah, the bleeding walls. Yeah. Well, it was a bleeding light switch and then a bleeding light bulb. But, like, check the box. Yeah.
The arms coming out of the bathtub. That was kind of new and freaky.
Yeah. And didn't really make sense or add to it, but hey, we have an idea for an effect.
Yeah.
Well, he's going crazy. We can just kind of throw those in.
Just throw a lot of things in.
Yeah. I mean, again, where the whole story came from was a bunch of people throwing things at the wall, not checking each other's stories. And
that's slanderous, what you're doing right now.
I was just talking about how there's multiple screenwriters.
The Lutzes will sue us.
They can take all the money we're making from this podcast, which is not sponsored by any mattress companies or
website companies,
or website builders,
home delivery, or food
adult toy services.
Adult toy services.
We'll see when we get to the Amityville vibrator.
Oh my god! Oh my god! There's an Amityville vibrator.
It is a thing.
But should it be? Yeah. God, I bet you that's going to be like one of the more faithful remake parodies that we end up watching.
Entirely possible.
That's how they always end up. Like, God help me, the Batman, the Adam West Batman, and like the Scooby Doo porn parodies are so very on point in a lot of the acting. It's frustrating and weird.
It comes from a place of, love of the property. Like,
yes,
they're not picking something they're not into.
Yes.
I mean, maybe on some of them, some of the, but who doesn't love, Scooby Doo? Who doesn't love, classic Batman?
Who doesn't love Amityville horror?
We shall see how it goes.
God, this is the last good one.
We don't know. Or
this is the last one that would appear to be that you would assume would be good.
This is the last well financed.
Oh boy!
But you know what? I'm a fan of low budget horror, and there are a ton of great ideas out there. There are a lot of filmmakers who maybe this is just the way to get their name going.
Oh yeah, no, it's more a concern of the number of them.
Oh yeah. I don't think we're going to have a high success ratio on them. But
nope.
I honestly,
that's why we highly recommend the remake of the Amityville Horror.
Indeed,
it's on HBO Max right now, and or Tubi.
I don't know. Is it?
Every other thing is on Tubi.
Yeah, I think it was HBO Max and Apple Plus, I believe, had it right now.
Fair enough.
But you can catch it out there, and we will let you know where you can find the rest of these as we get to them.
Yup. Until next week.
Wish us luck. Happy Amityville.
Happy Amityville.
If you want to interact with us online, you can check us out on Instagram or Twitter at Amityville Show, or you can send us an email at podcastamityville@gmail.com.